How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of In the Sand podcast. You know I'm excited as ever. Excited to be back for season 3. I mean, I don't know if you can imagine it or not, but season 3. I'm excited to be back in this moment. Excited to be back in this space, and just so grateful for the moment, and just appreciative of the support. To be honest with you, um, kind of got busy, sort of, kind of, but also too, it was got a little bit discouraging in some spots. And what I mean by that is, of course, obviously, I'm doing this for the love of it. Right now, not drawing any revenue, so I kind of lost my focus of why I was doing this, and it wasn't about anything else but celebrating coaches and giving coaches a voice to communicate, give them a voice to allow individuals to see them. Because I said the same thing in season 1, I'm saying the same thing in season 2, is that people see us for maybe an hour and 30 minutes, and they form an impression on what they think of who we are. But this gives an opportunity for us to be able to have our own space, have our own platform, and just communicate. So I'm excited to have Coach Breakfield on. Met him this summer at a shootout at Pelahatchie. My guy, Coach Porter, definitely a good friend of mine. I consider him to be a brother as well. I was hosting some basketball games and had an opportunity to coach against Coach, meet him. He coaches at Union High School. And the thing that drew me to coach was an encouragement. I'm glad that I actually had him on first, because one thing he said, man, I like what you're doing on the podcast. Excited for it to come back. And that kind of confirmed some things that my wife had always been saying, like, go ahead and get it started back. And so I'm grateful for guys like Coach, who got a pure heart and is excited about the game. So I couldn't open it up any other better way. So Coach Breakfield, man, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Hey, appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir, man. Coach, I want to go ahead and jump on to it, man. We've been away for a while, so I kind of want to give our followers, our subscribers, what they're looking for. And so, Coach, as always, I always open up the podcast. And to be honest, I was thinking about that this morning as I was taking my daughter to school. There are always two questions that I ask people. Usually, I always ask people how they got in their profession, because I believe that's a story in and of itself. But then I also ask people, how did they meet their wife or their husband? And we may talk about that later on. But I just think those two stories are just great stories. So, Coach, I'm excited to hear about your basketball journey, Coach. So I want to talk about, where has this game of basketball, how has it taken you to where you are now, to be the head boys basketball coach at Union High School?
I think that's a great question, man. Really, so I start out, I'm the second oldest of five.
Mhm.
Okay, so both parents are preachers. I'm musically inclined as well. Play a little bass guitar for my church, but it kind of started out. I played 2 years at Brookhaven High School, 1 year at Mississippi College, and then the last 5 years I've been at Leak Central. I've been the head basketball coach there at the middle school, the assistant for the high school. And of course, now I'm the head basketball coach for the middle and the high school at Union. But kind of how I got here, man, just really started out, like I said, I'm the second oldest. So me and my older brother, we always competed a lot, with everything, whether it's racing in the backyard, playing one-on-one basketball, football, whatever, whether it's competing to see who's the tallest, just pretty much anything. You know how it is growing up with an older brother. But um, so yeah, I think just kind of having that competition daily, I think they kind of like it set a foundation for me as far as my competitive spirit, my competitive fire. And I think he really was one of the first people that kind of pushed me to just kind of steal that competition factor in me. And I think two other inspirations I had was Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Those two are my favorite players, and they really inspired me because Michael Jordan getting cut from his varsity team as a junior and becoming one of the GOATs of the game. Kobe, just his mama mentality, the way he approached everything, and having the 4 air balls as a rookie against Utah in '96, and then bouncing back and becoming one of the clutchest players of our generation. I think those two guys really kind of formed just the genesis of my competitive spirit, and I kind of took that with me throughout high school as well. Not really, wasn't really a star player in high school. But I ended up playing 2 years. I actually got cut my junior year, and that pushed me to become, excuse me, that pushed me to become more hungry because I'm looking at, all right, Michael Jordan got cut. He became one of the GOATs of the game. So that pushed me to just work even harder. I didn't complain. I didn't give up. It just pushed me to go harder. So I ended up making it my senior year. The coach, he had a different direction he kind of wanted to go because that was a rebuilding year. So he kind of put more energy and focus into the previous three classes. We had a strong freshman class my senior year. We had a pretty solid sophomore, really good junior class. So his energy started to shift more towards them, which I understand now being a coach. You're building for your future. But so it took me to college. I ended up going to Hines my first year, well, first semester. Tried out for the team there. I didn't make it. Transferred to Southwest. They didn't even have a tryout. So I just ended up playing intramural there, which for anybody that'll play intramural, man, that is very tough. A lot of people underestimate how good those guys are that play intramural because you got a lot of football guys that maybe got scholarships for basketball, but they just chose football. And they putting together teams, and you just got a lot of athletes. And I ended up in that Southwest, we had a lot of athletes there. But I ended up leading my team to a number one seed. So that kind of gave me confidence, like, I can do this. I can, because my dream was always to play college basketball. So I'm like, man, I can do this, man. So I graduated from Southwest, I start working for half a year. So I kind of took off that little semester between December and August and just worked. Um, I met a not a young lady, but an older lady, and she asked me one day, she was like, why you here? I said, well, she said, you're not at school or anything like that? I said, yeah, I just graduated from JUCO, but I'm gonna go back eventually and get my bachelor's. She said, yeah, that's what my son, he about your age. He said the same thing, and she said it's been 10 years now. He still ain't went back. She said, go ahead and go back to school. So I took her advice and I ended up going back to school. I went to Mississippi College. And I'm like, well, I'm here. Might as well continue that aspiration I had to play college. So I ended up going and talking to the coach, who was Don Lofton at the time, Don Lofton and Josh Brooks. That was the coaching staff there at the time. And talked to him, and he pretty much let me know, like, well, we're getting ready to start the season, man. Come back in the spring and I'll let you try out. But he said, but in the meantime, you can, hang around, see how we do things, this and that. I'm like, man, I ain't, I gotta make some money. So I kept working at Home Depot throughout that year. And getting close, so the trial was gonna be mid-March. But that around late January, I decided to play intramural again to kind of get ready for the trial.
Yeah.
Well, so it's late January, and while I'm practicing with my intramural team, I end up getting a high ankle sprain. And I'm like, dang, this gonna really affect me because the trial is like a month and a half away. And here I am with a high ankle sprain. So it's no telling how long that's gonna take to heal up. So I'm like, man. So I pretty much just that competitive spirit, though, I'm like, man, I'm not gonna miss this trial. So I just worked my butt off to try to, like, I rested probably the first couple of weeks. Then after that, I started rehabbing rigorously, like daily, trying to get that thing right for the trial. Man, I show up to that trial on one leg, man. I had my ankle brace on and everything, but I was there because I'm like,
That
hey,
was
I got, I'm gonna make this team. Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Ain't nothing gonna hold me back from making this team. So it wasn't your typical trial where you just got guys that's from the school trying out. Now they had like recruits trying out, so it wasn't no weak links on the floor. So I ended up getting stuck on the back of a point guard. So I'm like, well, this perfect. This is a chance for me to prove that I belong on this level.
mhm.
So man, I lie to you not. We played about 4 scrimmages, and I picked that guy up 94 feet. Didn't let him breathe the whole day. And he scored 2 points, and I'm still mad about that 2 points. He got it off a putback layup because I forgot to box out. But I picked him up 94 feet, man. I ended up getting that fast break dunk and, pretty much just shut the gym down. And then Coach Lofton came to me after it was over. He was like, he had that look in his eye like, dang, I know you came to talk to me. I feel like the reason he didn't give me a chance that the first time I talked to him, he didn't think I could, play. But
Like
he had that look in his eye like, "Yeah, you could definitely play." He said, "I think you can help us." He said, "Just, I want you to be on the team, man. I want you to practice with us, be a part of this team." And after that, I was just like, it felt like I had accomplished something that I had kind of been pushing for a long time. Because since high school, I had a lot of people tell me like, "Bro, there's no way you gonna play college ball and you barely playing in high school. Like that's not gonna happen." But I think just to kind of have that happen and the way it happened, it kind of just made me feel like I accomplished something. So I going moving forward, it was a really good year for me. We had a really good team as well. Um, and we had like 4 guys get suspended after Christmas, but we had a really good team, and I think had we'd have had our full team together, we could have really made some noise in the state. But moving forward from that, um, graduating college, kind of lost, not really knowing what to do. I just kind of just sat there and I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do next? And ended up, my little brother, he ended up playing recreation basketball. And I got a call from the director and he was like, look, man, we need some volunteer coaches. Would you be willing to do it? You ain't gonna get paid, but I think it's a good opportunity, just kind of, the coach and just kind of help the community. So I decided to do it because I had always been thinking in the back of my head, like, I don't know what I want to do, but I feel like coaching would be something that I'm good at. But it's like, because I will always have like some of the players on the team, like they will always ask me, like, "Great, what you think we should do? Like, we losing in the game, they'd be like at halftime, like, what adjustments you think we should make?" I think because the way they would always like, I had one of my teammates, Donovan Ham. He's an assistant coach for the Milwaukee Bucks now. His dad actually is Darvin Ham, who coached for the Lakers, and now I think he's with the Bucks now.
Yeah.
But that was one of my closest friends. He would always ask me like, he would always tell me like, Rick, like that you got their ear, man. They listen when you speak. But I think just kind of having that confidence from him, somebody like that, it kind of gave me a lot of confidence. Like, maybe coaching is something that I could, be good at. But moving forward, so I ended up helping my little brother Rick team, and I don't know, man. It's just something about that moment. Like we started out 0-2, and then because we didn't really have a good team outside of my brother and one other guy. But we started out 0-2, and then we ended up beating the 1 and 2 seeds. And we went on a 3-game winning streak. And I'm just like, when I'm out there, I just felt purposeful. Like I felt passionate about I'm doing. Like it felt like I was doing something I love to do. So I think after that, that kind of gave me that push to go ahead and kind of like get into it. But I really didn't want to because I didn't want to teach. I never really liked school. So and you got to teach in order to coach. So I'm like, all right. So I went on a couple of interviews because someone told me that you can get you can still coach. They just put you on an emergency license if you ain't got your teaching license.
Mhm.
So I went on a couple of interviews. I went and interviewed at Amite County. And I'm gonna end it right here. 'Cause I know you got a lot more you want to kind of get into.
Like, go ahead, you good.
But yeah, but Amite County, the principal at the time, he was impressed with my interview, but I didn't have my license. I didn't even have my practice because I made a 17 on ACT. So
Mhm.
he was just like, tell you what, I can't hire you and you don't even have praxis. Go get your praxis and the job is yours. But he said the only catch to it is you got to get it within 2 weeks because I'm about to step down. And I'm like, how I'm gonna get this in 2 weeks. But so I went, I took the test, probably within a couple of days. I was studying probably like 24 hours each day. Like that's how I was trying to get it because I'm like, man, this dude better step down. I'm going to get this. So I go ahead, take the praxis in probably like 3 days. The problem was it took about 2 weeks to come in, my results. So my results finally come in. I'm like, dang, like is it right around that 2 week mark? So I called Emmett County High School and I said, hey, can I speak? I forget the principal name, but I was like, can I speak to such and such? They was like, he just stepped down yesterday. It's like, I was like, you got to be kidding me. So they end up hiring somebody else to be the principal. I still went on the interview, but I could tell the whole vibe was just different. Like I kind of tell he kind of had somebody in mind he wanted to get a job too, but since I
Yeah.
was on a list, they had to give me the interview. But anyway, So fast forward there, I went and talked to my, cause I went on a couple other interviews as well, but they pretty much told me the same thing. Like, look, we love your interview, but we hired someone a little further along, which pretty much meaning they hired somebody that had their teaching license already. So I just remember talking to my mom, and she just like, look, son, you need to get your ducks in a row. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you right. So I went on ahead, got my teaching license, and the first interview I went on after I got it was Leak Central, where I was at the last 5 years, and he pretty much hired me on the spot. You know, he loved my interview, and I had my teaching license, so he hired me on the spot. And I guess, as they say, the rest is history.